Good afternoon. Welcome to the Analyst. Today we'll be taking up 7 newspaper articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express and discussing them. The handout for the same will be available in the description of this video for your kind perusal. Please have a look at that. The first article that we'll take up is related to the interstate water disputes, as Rajasthan is seeking a permanent seat on the Bhakra Byas Management Board, saying that it also has a share in the Ravi Byas waters. The second article is related to the Indian monsoon, as the monsoon is likely to reach Kerala on May 26th as per the Indian Meteorological Department. Additionally, we'll take up 5 articles in the prelims pointer section which will be helpful for your prelims preparation. The first article is related to interstate water disputes, as Rajasthan seeks to have a permanent seat on the Bhakra Byas Management Board, as it says that it also has a share in the Ravi Byas waters and it holds about 52% share in the Ravi Byas waters. So we will cover the topic related to interstate water disputes by taking up 3 case studies. The ones related to the sharing of the waters of Madai River, Kaveri River and the Satluj-Yamuna Link Canal, which have been in the news in the past. We'll cover the challenges in the resolution of the interstate water disputes, specifically focusing upon the governance-related challenges and also a few suggestions in this regard. This is important in GS2 under the topic Dispute Redressal Mechanisms and Institutions, and also in GS1 in Geography and in GS3 in Environment under the topic Water. First, let us start with the 3 case studies. The first case study that we'll take up is related to the dispute in the sharing of the Mahadai River water. The Mahadai River has the basin in 3 states, Karnataka, Goa and Maharashtra. The dispute is chiefly between 2 states, Karnataka and Goa, because Karnataka wishes to divert some water of the Mahadai River to the Malprabha basin through the Kalsa Banduri Nala project. Because Karnataka wishes to fulfill the drinking water needs of a few districts in Karnataka, that is Belgavi, Dharwad and Gadag districts. Also Belgavi is the sugar bowl of Karnataka and the farmers there need more water. Therefore it wishes to transfer some of the water of the Mahadai River to the Malprabha basin. Now the Mahadai River originates in the Bhimgad Wildlife Sanctuary in Karnataka and flows through Maharashtra and then through Goa and then drains into the Arabian Sea near Panji. Now it has several tributaries including Rogaro, Kushavati, Nanorem, Nanuj, Valvota, Mapusa, Kalasa Nala, etc. And the basin area of Mahadai River is mainly in Goa, 78% in Goa, 18% in Karnataka and a small portion, about 4% in Maharashtra as well. Now the dispute is because of the project of Karnataka, that is Kalsa Nala Banduri project. Now, for the resolution of this dispute in 2010, the center set up the tribunal, the Mahadai Water Disputes Tribunal. Why the tribunal? Because the interstate water disputes in India, they are not to be resolved through the judiciary. Rather, through Article 262, the Parliament is empowered to set up the tribunals for the resolution of the interstate water disputes, and therefore, through the Interstate Water Disputes Act of 1956, specifically Section 4 of the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956, the central government sets up tribunals for the resolution of the interstate water disputes. Therefore, the Mahadai Water Disputes Tribunal was set up. Now, the tribunal gave its verdict in 2018, observing that all the 3 states, Karnataka, Goa and Maharashtra, have a share in the river water of the Mahadai River. But Goa had certain concerns. For example, that if more water is diverted from the Mahadai River to the Malprabha basin, then the navigation in Mandovi in Goa may be affected. Although the tribunal observed that Karnataka has a share of about 13 TMC feet, Goa will have the access to about 24 TMC feet and Maharashtra about 1.3 TMC feet. Now coming to the second case study, the dispute related to the sharing of the Kaveri River water. The history of this dispute goes long back. This also has a basin in 3 states and 1 union territory. The Kaveri River basin lies in the states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala and the union territory of Puducherry. This has a long history. In 1892 onwards, there was a dispute between the Presidency of Madras and the princely state of Mysore regarding the sharing of the Kaveri River water. And in 1924, the Presidency of Madras and the princely state of Mysore arrived upon an agreement regarding the sharing of the Kaveri River water. This agreement was for a period of 50 years. Now, this agreement expired in 1974. Therefore, after 1974, Karnataka started diverting the water of Kaveri. towards the filling of 4 reservoirs in Karnataka. Naturally, this led to a grievance in Tamil Nadu, which started facing water scarcity. Therefore, in 1990, the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal was constituted, again because of the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956 and through the Article 262. Therefore, the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal, after a long period, after 17 years, finally gave its award in 2007, observing that the water shares of both the states are fixed and they will vary depending upon the different periods of the year. And there will also be the establishment of a monitoring authority to ensure that the tribunal award is implemented. But the tribunal did not give any detailed formula if there is a scarcity of water, if there is a deficiency in the rainfall itself. Rather, it observed that when there are insufficient rains, then the proportion of the water of Kaveri which will be available for both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu will be reduced in a proportionate manner. In 2013, again after a gap of 6 years, government finally notified the order. But subsequently, Karnataka observed that it is unable to implement the tribunal award. This led to a grievance in Tamil Nadu, which approached the Supreme Court finally. And the Supreme Court in 2018 finally gave the judgment regarding the Kaveri River water dispute, observing that Kaveri is a national asset, and it broadly upheld the water sharing arrangements which were finalized by the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal, and it observed that there can be the establishment of a Kaveri management scheme and also a Kaveri water management authority as well. Coming to the third case study, it is related to the Satluj-Yamuna link canal. In 1955, the Ravi and Beas river waters were measured. The Ravi and Beas river waters were calculated and divided between the riparian states. But meanwhile, in 1966, the Punjab Reorganization Act was enacted. Punjab and Haryana became separate states. Therefore, the Satluj-Yamuna link canal was planned. As per the plan, about 120 kilometers of the canal was to lie in Punjab, and that was to be constructed by Punjab, and about 90 kilometers in Haryana, that was to be constructed by Haryana. By 1980, Haryana completed its portion of the Satluj-Yamuna link canal. But in Punjab, there were protests by the Shiromani Akali Dal, which led to the failure of Punjab in the completion of the Satluj-Yamuna link canal. Meanwhile, simultaneously in 1985, there was insurgency in Punjab, and there was an accord with the Shiromani Akali Dal. The Prime Minister's accord with the Shiromani Akali Dal and the subsequent establishment of the Iradi Tribunal to determine the sharing of the river water between Haryana and Punjab. But there was also militancy in Punjab, which led to the killing of even the superintending engineer and the chief engineer which were involved in the construction of the Satluj-Yamuna link canal in Punjab, which led to a long delay, and finally Haryana approached Supreme Court. And in 2004, Supreme Court gave direction to Punjab to start the work on the Satluj-Yamuna link canal. But Punjab came up with an act, the Punjab Termination of Agreements Act, through which it abrogated all its promises with respect to the sharing of the river waters with the other states. The President of India referred it to the Supreme Court to examine its legality, its validity, and in 2016 the Supreme Court observed that the Punjab Termination of Agreements Act is invalid, it is illegal, and it will have to abide by the agreements. In 2020, the Supreme Court even observed that the chief ministers of the two states, Haryana and Punjab, they should negotiate and the centre can mediate to resolve the issue of the sharing of the river waters and the construction of the Satluj-Yamuna link canal. Now, Article 262 bars the jurisdiction of the court in the resolution of the interstate water disputes. Therefore, through the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956, the centre sets up the tribunals, and the tribunals give the awards. The adjudication of the interstate water disputes is done by the tribunals. Now, temporary tribunals were being established, and they were dissolved after they gave the award, but their award had the force of a Supreme Court decree, and they were binding upon the states which approached the tribunal, and when it gave the award, it had to be implemented. But there were challenges in the mechanism of the interstate water disputes resolution. The governance challenges included the adversarial litigations. That is, whichever state was aggrieved from the award given by the tribunal, it approached the Supreme Court. it approached the Supreme Court utilizing the route of Article 136, that is filing a special leave petition, because otherwise the jurisdiction of the courts is barred because of the virtue of the Article 262. Now it led to chronic delays in the final adjudication, in the finality of the implementation of the dispute resolution awards. Also, there were no avenues to redress the grievances of the states after the tribunal was dissolved. That is, earlier the tribunals used to be temporary tribunals which got dissolved after they announced the award. Additionally, it even led to a kind of a constitutional crisis by pitching the legislature against the judiciary. For example, Karnataka expressed its inability in the implementation of the Kaveri River Water Disputes Tribunal Award. And also there was an institutional vacuum regarding its implementation, because once the tribunal announced the award, it was dissolved. After that, there was a vacuum regarding its implementation, although the tribunal usually suggested for the creation of a monitoring authority to ensure that there is the implementation of its award. And the decisions, they are usually taken based upon the vote banks politics, and also the deficit years allocation was usually not delved into deeply by the tribunals. That is, what would happen, what would be the criteria for the allocation of the waters, for the sharing of the waters in case there are insufficient rains in a year, in case there are deficit years, and there was an absence of transparent information gathering and sharing as well. Now, what are the solutions that we can give for the resolution of the interstate river water disputes? First, we need to take up a multi-pronged approach, that we should put in place the legal measures plus institutional measures plus the technological aspect also needs to be taken into account, because only the enactment of a law may not suffice. We need the institutions to back it up to ensure that there are enforcement mechanisms, and the institutions, they should also take into account the technological aspect. For example, the tribunal itself, before announcing the award, should take into account the hydrological data, collect the basin level data, find out the socio-economic conditions in the states, find out the needs and the capacities of the states, then come up with the award. The Interstate River Water Disputes Amendment Bill 2019 also proposed good solutions. For example, first, the dispute should be referred to a dispute resolution committee. The dispute resolution committee should try to resolve it within a period of 1 year, which can be extended by another 6 months. If the dispute cannot be resolved at the level of a dispute resolution committee, then it can be referred to a permanent tribunal, and the permanent tribunal will resolve it within a period of 2 years, give the award within 2 years, which can be extended by another 1 year. Also, there should be the establishment of an expert agency for the collection of data. That is, the basin level data should be collected. For example, the rainwater data, irrigation related data, surface water availability data, so that the tribunal award, that is based upon data, facts and scientific considerations rather than the political influence. Also, we can utilize the Interstate Council as a platform to ensure that the states arrive at a solution amicably through discussions, and the distribution of the waters between the states, it should not be based upon equality, rather it should be based upon equity. For that, we can refer to the Helsinki rules and the CAQM rules that were also referred to by the Supreme Court while giving the judgment in the Kaveri River Water Dispute case. And the state is not the owner of the water, rather the state functions like a public trustee, because the water is a resource that is shared by all. And we can also follow the approach of 4R, that is reduce, recycle, reuse and recover water, to ensure that there is sustainability in the usage of water as well in the long run. There is a mains practice question also. Discuss the major challenges associated with interstate water disputes in India. What are the constitutional and institutional mechanisms available for their resolution? Suggest measures to ensure cooperative and sustainable water governance in India. Please try to write it. The next article is related to the Indian monsoon, as the monsoon is expected to reach Kerala by May 26th as per the observations of the Indian Meteorological Department. So we'll discuss the factors influencing the Indian monsoon, the impact of the climate change upon the Indian monsoon, and the role of the Indian Meteorological Department. This is important in GS1 under the topic Important Geophysical Phenomena. First, let us observe a few basics regarding the Indian monsoon. The monsoon can be termed as a system of seasonal winds which reverse their direction depending upon the change in the seasons. For example, in the summer months from June to September, they are termed as the southwest monsoon because they are coming from the ocean towards the land, from the Indian Ocean towards the Indian Peninsula, coming from the southwest direction, therefore termed as the southwest monsoon. Similarly, after the change in the seasons in the October-November months, they are termed as a retreating monsoon. As they are coming from the northeast direction, therefore termed as the northeast monsoon, going back from the land towards the ocean. Regarding the timeline, in the normal conditions, they approach the coast of Kerala around 1st of June. And regarding the withdrawal, they leave the western coast of India around 10th, 15th of October. So they can be viewed as large convection cells, therefore causing rainfall over India. Now, what are the factors which influence the Indian monsoon? The primary factor is the differential heating of land and sea. That the land and water, they heat up at different rates. Why? Because they have different specific heat capacities. We can measure the heat in terms of Q is equal to mCp delta T. You don't need to remember the equation, it's for your understanding only. If the specific heat capacity is higher, then the rise in temperature will be lower for the same amount of heat. Therefore, the rise in temperature of the oceans during the summer months is lower as compared to the rise in temperature of the land. The land heats up quickly during the summer months, which causes a pressure gradient, a low pressure situation over the land. Therefore, the heating of the Tibetan plateau, for example, it makes sure that the air is coming from the ocean towards the land, which causes the seasonal system of the winds, causing the southwest monsoon over India. This is further influenced by the shifting of the intertropical convergence zone. The intertropical convergence zone is a narrow zone which, if the sun is on the equator, it lies upon the equator where the trade winds are converging. But during the summer months, the intertropical convergence zone itself moves. For example, during the summer months, the intertropical convergence zone shifts northward. From the equator, it shifts northward. You can observe this in the diagram also. Whereas in the winter months, it comes back and shifts downwards towards the south direction. And therefore, this becomes a zone of strong convection. A zone of strong convection where there is a low pressure. Because of the low pressure, the air is rising. When the air is rising, there is the formation of the clouds and causing the rainfall also. And in the early June, therefore, the intertropical convergence zone has shifted northward and it has shifted towards the northern India, therefore attracting the southwest monsoon from the ocean towards the land. Similarly, during the October month, the intertropical convergence zone has further shifted back south then, and therefore attracting those winds down south, and therefore the same winds, they become the northeast monsoon. And when the monsoon winds, they encounter an altitude also, then they are forced to rise. When they are rising, it leads to the cooling of the winds, therefore condensation, and therefore the causing of the rainfall, which causes the rainfall in the Western Ghats region as well as near the Himalayas. The further factors influencing the Indian monsoon are the prevalence of El Nino or La Nina like conditions. The El Nino and La Nina, they are climatic events influenced by the temperatures in the Pacific Ocean. When there are normal conditions, that is, there is no El Nino, there is the availability of warm water on the surface near the east coast of Australia, which becomes a downwelling zone. And therefore the air over here is rising. When the air is rising, there is the formation of the clouds, there is a convecting current, and therefore there is rainfall over the east coast of Australia. This air travels eastward towards the East Pacific Ocean, and therefore it subsides near the south coast of America, near the Peru, where there is upwelling zone and also the availability of cold current. Therefore this air then finally travels back along the surface of the ocean back towards the east coast of Australia. Simultaneously inside the water also the current is formed, and there becomes a downwelling zone near the east coast of Australia and the upwelling zone near Peru. When the conditions become El Nino like conditions, then this convective conditions, they shift eastward. Therefore, near the east coast of Australia, now rather there is the availability of cold water, and therefore this becomes a zone of subsidence which causes lower rainfall over India. Therefore, when the El Nino conditions exist, there is lower rainfall during the monsoon season over India, whereas when the La Nina conditions exist, La Nina simply strengthens the water circulation. It leads to huge rainfall over India. Another factor is the Indian Ocean dipole. The Indian Ocean dipole is due to the temperature gradient within the Indian Ocean itself. When there is negative Indian Ocean dipole, then the eastern Indian Ocean is warmer than normal, which leads to the air rising near the eastern ocean, Indian Ocean, and it travels towards the west Indian Ocean and it subsides over the east coast of Africa. This again causes lower rainfall over India. The positive Indian dipole is beneficial for more rainfalls over India. Another factor influencing the Indian monsoon is the Madden-Julian oscillation. The Madden-Julian oscillation has an eastward movement. It has a cycle of 30 to 60 days. That is, it has two phases. One phase is that of strong convection, another phase is that of suppression. When there is strong convection phase at a place, then there is a strong updraft of the air. The air moves up, and when the air is moving up, it leads to the formation of the clouds when it is over the ocean. Therefore, when over the western Indian Ocean, there is a strong convective phase of the Madden-Julian oscillation, this air will then come towards the Indian Peninsula, which will cause more rainfall over the Indian Peninsula. Whereas if there is a suppression phase over the Western Indian Ocean, the suppression phase of the Madden-Julian oscillation, this will decrease the rainfall over peninsular India. Similarly, another factor is the sea surface temperature. If the sea surface temperature over the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea is higher, this will lead to more convection, more air rising, more formation of clouds, air picking up moisture. This will lead to more rainfall over India. Whereas if the sea surface temperatures are lower, this will reduce the convection, therefore causing lower rainfall over India. Similarly, another factor is the Arctic amplification. The rate of warming of the Arctic Sea is higher than the remaining globe. Therefore, there is a melting of the Arctic sea ice also. This enhances the Rossby waves. This causes therefore the increase of pressure over the northwest India, comparatively lower pressure over the Mediterranean Sea. The pressure gradient finally causing therefore more rainfall over the central and the northern parts of India. Another factor is the subtropical westerly jet stream. The subtropical westerly jet stream during the winter months, when it is coming towards India, it is getting divided into two parts. One part going over the Tibetan plateau north of Himalayas, another part going south of the Himalayas, and both of them converging finally towards the east coast of China. When there is summer months, during the summer months, the southern part of the subtropical westerly jet stream also shifts northward. Therefore, the southwest monsoon comes and reaches towards the northern parts of India as well. Another factor is the presence of the Somali jet, the Findlaters jet. This is because of the thermal low developing over Somalia, again leading to more convection happening near the western part of the Indian Ocean, and those air-laden, those moisture-laden winds coming finally towards the Indian Peninsula and causing more rainfall over India. Now, what is the impact of the climate change over the Indian monsoon? It has an impact in terms of varying the intensity of the rainfall and also causing erratic distribution of the rainfall over India. It causes an increase in the extreme weather events. More frequency of the extreme weather events causing more floods, more droughts, and also increasing the intensity of the extreme weather events, including causing of hailstorms, causing of droughts at the same time, and causing of floods as well. Also, it has led to the warming of the Indian Ocean, and warming of the Indian Ocean finally influences the temperature gradient, because the monsoon, they are a system of seasonal reversal of the winds, and therefore primarily impacted because of the temperature gradient as well as the pressure gradient. As the oceans start warming up, it will impact the temperature gradient between the land and the ocean, therefore ultimately impacting the monsoon also adversely. And also it will cause the delayed onset of the monsoon and also the extended withdrawal of the monsoon. This will cause the disruption in the sowing cycles and the reaping cycles, therefore impacting the crop cycles as well adversely. Now let us also observe the role of the Indian Meteorological Department. It was established in 1875. It is functioning under the Ministry of Earth Sciences and has its headquarters in Delhi. It has observation stations not only in India but also in Antarctica. There are 6 regional meteorological centers in India having bases at Mumbai, Chennai, New Delhi, Calcutta, Nagpur and Guwahati. Now what is the mandate of IMD? It provides meteorological observations and it provides the current and forecast meteorological information for weather sensitive activities like agriculture, shipping, aviation, offshore oil explorations, etc. It also provides warnings against severe weather phenomena such as upcoming dust storms, snowfall, cold waves, heat waves, etc. And it also conducts and promotes research in meteorology and allied disciplines. And it is also one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers of the World Meteorological Organization, and it provides the forecasting, naming, distributing warnings for the tropical cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean region, including the states of Malacca, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf. There is a means practice question also. Explain the major factors influencing the Indian monsoon system. How is the climate change affecting the pattern, intensity and reliability of the Indian monsoon? Please try to write it. The next article is related to the farm fires. This is important in prelims under the topic General Issues on Environmental Ecology, Biodiversity and Climate Change. Before coming to the article, let's discuss a few basics regarding the farm fires. As per a study by the IIT Kanpur in 2015, 17 to 26% of the particulate matter in Delhi in the winters is coming due to the burning of the biomass in the surrounding areas. And as per the SAFAR observations, 40% contribution to the air pollution is coming because of the biomass burning at its peak. And the temperature inversion in the region, which is ensured because of the favorable conditions like a continental climate and winter nights and a clear sky, it traps the air pollution such as smoke near the ground. Now, what are the reasons behind the farm fires? First, it is to facilitate the seed bed preparation and to ensure easy seeding for the farmers, and it is a quick and cheap method for the farmers. And the happy seeder, a technology which is used as an alternate for the burning of the biomass there, it is expensive and therefore increases the input costs in the agriculture. Now, what are the impacts of the farm fires? Firstly, it causes environmental pollution, causing the increase in the PM10 and PM2.5 and causing the issues like the November North, causing unbreathable air in the northern parts of India in the months of November and December, causing smog, carbon monoxide emissions as well as methane emissions. And it also adversely impacts the soil health. For example, the nutrients and the organic carbon content in the soil is damaged because of the burning, and the microbes, they also lose their lives, and it leads to lower nitrogen, lower carbon content in the soil. It also has adverse impact on the human beings as it causes skin irritation, neurological disorders, respiratory illnesses as well as lowering the life expectancy. And also it is causing more subsidies being provided by the government indirectly in terms of fertilizer and electricity subsidies, because the yield and the productivity of the crops decline, and those have to be maintained to ensure that the production levels are sufficient in India. Now, what are the steps taken to reduce the farm fires in India? There is the promotion of the agriculture mechanization for the in situ management of the crop residue, and the funds are released under the scheme to the NCR states by the central government, that is 3,000 crores in 5 years. There is the development of the Pusa decomposer by the Indian Agriculture Research Institute. The Punjab government specifically came up with a few ideas. For example, the proposal to provide 2.5 thousand as the cash incentive per acre if the farmers do not burn the biomass there. Awareness camps were held. The deputy commissioners, they held meetings with the farm union leaders, and for the ex situ management, the biomass handling units were engaged, and the brick kilns where they were mandated to use stubble as the fuel to ensure that the farmers are able to sell the stubble, and that works as an incentive that they are not burning it, rather they can sell it. Now, what are the suggestions that we can give for countering the farm fires? First, we need to adopt the alternative farming practices. For example, going for zero tillage, crop diversification or direct seeding. We can adopt better harvesting machinery and take up more awareness campaigns as well as use the biomass as animal feed. It can be recycled, used as manure, it can also be used for power generation, and it can serve as a raw material for the generation of bioethanol as well. And it can be converted into pellets and then used it for the burning in the thermal power plants. And we can also follow the example of the Chhattisgarh Gauthans, using it as animal feed and going for the development of improved seed varieties as well. Now coming to the article, the stubble burning cases in Punjab and Haryana from April 1st to May 15 have risen by 38% and 118% over the corresponding period last year, as per the Commission for Air Quality Management in the NCR and adjoining areas. And therefore the Commission for Air Quality Management has approved a direction mandating the registrations of only electric three-wheelers, passenger and goods in Delhi from January 1st next year onwards. So let us observe a few facts regarding the Commission for Air Quality Management as well. It is a statutory body which was set up under the Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and the Adjoining Areas Act 2021, and it ensures coordination, research, identification and resolution of problems surrounding the air quality index. It has the powers to restrict the activities which are adversely impacting the air quality. It conducts the research as well as investigates regarding the air pollution. It also frames the codes and guidelines, issues directions, and all the directions issued by the Commission for Air Quality Management are binding. And the Commission for Air Quality Management is directly accountable to the Parliament. The composition of the Commission for Air Quality Management is one chairperson who is having a rank of Secretary or Chief Secretary in the Government of India in the past, and he will have a tenure of maximum 3 years or up to the age of 70 years. And there will be 5 ex officio members, which will be either secretaries in charge of the Environment Department of the states in the NCR region, or the chief secretaries in these states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. And there will be 3 full-time technical members. The technical members from the Central Pollution Control Board, ISRO and Niti Aayog will be there, and 3 persons from the NGOs as well are represented in the Commission for Air Quality Management. The next article is related to the Ganges soft-shell turtle. This is important in prelims under the topic General Issues on Environmental Ecology, Biodiversity and Climate Change. Before coming to the article, let's observe a few facts regarding the turtle. This is also known as Indian soft-shell turtle. It is one of the largest freshwater turtle species in the world. In terms of appearance, it has an upper shell which is round to oval shaped. It is green in color with a yellow border. It is having a long neck and a tube-like snout which helps it to extend the nose out of the water to breathe. It has a compressed shell which streamlines them, and therefore they are one of the most brilliant and fast swimmers. They are found in the deep rivers, streams, canals, lakes and ponds with sandy or muddy bottoms usually, and therefore they reside near the turbid waters, mostly hidden under the sand. Their geographical distribution is across South Asia, that is, they are found in Afghanistan, India, Bangladesh and Pakistan. They are found mainly in the Indus River, Ganges River, Meghna, Brahmaputra, Yamuna, Narmada and Mahanadi river basins. They are omnivorous. They are feeding on fish, amphibians, mollusks, insects, aquatic plants, etc. And their breeding season is from February to April. They are maintained in the temple ponds of Odisha, where they are considered as sacred. They are facing threat from habitat alteration and destruction, also facing threat from poaching, illegal trading for traditional medicines, expansion of agriculture as well as commercial exploitation. The conservation status of the Indian soft-shell turtle under IUCN Red List is endangered, and they are also protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Let us also observe a few facts regarding the Kaziranga National Park before coming to the article. The Kaziranga National Park is situated in Assam, and it is the single largest undisturbed and representative area in the Brahmaputra Valley floodplain. In 1974, it was declared as a national park. In 1985, it was declared as a World Heritage Site as well. It is also an important bird area declared by the BirdLife International, and its terrain comprises of sheer forest, elephant grass, rugged reeds, marshes and shallow pools, and the National Highway 715 forms its southern boundary. There are a few rivers passing through it. Diflu and Mora Diflu forms its southern boundary. The flora found in the Kaziranga National Park include dense and tall elephant grasses, small swamp plants, water lilies, water hyacinths, and lotus. The fauna found in the Kaziranga National Park include the rhinos, tiger, eastern swamp deer, elephant, buffalo, hollow gibbon, capped langur, Gangetic river dolphin. World's largest population of one-horned rhinos is also found in the Kaziranga National Park. Now coming to the article, India's first satellite-tagged Ganges soft-shell turtle, an endangered species, was released in the Kaziranga National Park and Tiger Reserve in Assam. Assam is one of the world's top priority areas in freshwater turtle conservation. Of the 8 soft-shell turtles reported from India, 5 are known from the Kaziranga landscape, and the Ganges soft-shell turtle, a Schedule 1 animal under the WPA 1972, can be differentiated from the other riverine turtles by its distinct arrowhead-shaped markings on the top of its head. The next article is related to the Bhojshala Complex. This is important in prelims under the topic History of India. Before coming to the article, let's discuss a few facts regarding the Bhojshala Complex. It is situated in the Dhar district of Madhya Pradesh. It was built by Raja Bhoj in 1034 AD, and Raja Bhoj was the greatest monarch of the Parmar dynasty. The Bhojshala Complex earlier served as a university. It served as a center of learning where students used to come to learn music, Sanskrit, astronomy, yoga, Ayurveda, and philosophy. Its history goes long back. In 1305 AD, it was attacked first time by Alauddin Khilji, and in 1514 again Mahmud Shah Khilji II attacked it and tried to convert it into a dargah. Mahmud Shah Khilji II encroached the land outside the Saraswati temple and built the Kamal Maulana Maqbara there. There are various inscriptions found in the Bhojshala complex. In the rocks, there are 2 hymns engraved in the Prakrit language of the Karma avatar or the crocodile incarnation of Vishnu. There are also 2 Sarp Bandha pillar inscriptions. One contains the Sanskrit alphabet and the main endings of the nouns and verbs. The other inscription contains the individual declensions of the 10 tenses and moods of the Sanskrit grammar. In 1951, the Bhojshala complex was declared as a monument of national importance under the Ancient and Historical Monument and Archaeological Sites and Remains Declaration of National Importance Act 1951, and currently it is protected by the ASI. Now coming to the article, the Madhya Pradesh High Court has ruled that the site of Bhojshala complex and Kamal Mola Mosque in Dhar district in Madhya Pradesh is a temple dedicated to goddess Vagdevi, that is Saraswati, and it has allowed the Hindu community to worship at the site while dismissing the claims of the Muslim community. The court quashed an order of the ASI, the Archaeology Survey of India 2003 order that had allowed the Muslim community to offer the Friday prayers at the site. The ASI order had also permitted the Hindus to offer worship within the Bhojshala complex on Tuesday and Basant Panchami. The High Court even directed the Union government to bring back an idol of the goddess Saraswati from London Museum as it had been taken to the UK in the late 1800s. The bench rejected the Muslim side's argument that an August 1935 Elan by the then princely state of Dhar declared the site as a mosque under the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935. The court said that the ASI had used scientific methods in its survey, including carbon dating and paleography, to determine the age and historical period of the structure, and the XRF sport analysis and compositional testing to examine the construction material. The next article is related to the spike in the crude oil prices. This is important in prelims under the topic Economic and Social Development. The crude oil prices over the past decade had remained low, and from 2014 onwards they were below $100 per barrel. But in April it reached $115 per barrel, and for a full year if they remain around $100 per barrel, it will lead to about 40% increase in India's bill over the previous year's cost. Now the household budgets will be affected if the price rise is completely transferred to the consumers, and the government budget will be affected if it does not transfer the price rise, because the government will have to borrow more. It will translate into higher borrowings, and the borrowings to pay the fuel bill ultimately only defers the inevitable, because if we pay today, then there will be higher prices at the petrol pumps, and if we pay tomorrow, then there will be higher taxes which will be imposed by the government to repay the government debt. Then the retail prices simultaneously, if you observe, the crude prices crashed up to 2020-2021, but the retail prices for the commodities, they had actually gone up, except the aviation turbine fuel, which was kept low. And in the COVID year, the crude prices fell by 30%, but the petrol and diesel pump prices still increased. After the COVID year, there has been an increased global demand from the economic recovery and also supply constraints from the Russia-Ukraine war. Therefore, the prices now kept going up. Now, what will be the impact of the crude oil price rise? First, it will cause inflation. The wholesale inflation will be more affected because the fuel has a bigger component in the calculation of the WPI. The WPI, although had remained modest in the most years in the past decade, sometimes it was even negative because the crude oil prices remained low, whereas the CPI, that was more than the WPI, and it was also more than the target rate of the RBI, trying to keep it ideally below 4%, and especially after 2020 the CPI had been going up. The economic growth rates will be impacted because the higher crude prices will be detrimental for India's growth. For example, in 2015-16 and 2016-17, the crude prices were just around $40 per barrel, around mid $40 per barrel, and at that time India's growth rate was more than 8%, whereas in 2011-12 to 2013-14 the oil prices were more than $100 per barrel and the growth rate was struggling at just around 5 to 6%. Similarly, the trade balance will be adversely impacted. The trade balance is calculated by taking into account the net effect of the exports minus the imports of the goods, whereas India's dependence upon the imports regarding the crude oil has been increasing over the past 12 years. The higher trade deficit will have to be plugged by surpluses from other components of the balance of payments, for example, the surplus from the services trade or the foreign investments. If both of them do not happen, then rupee will start depreciating, or we will have to draw down from our forex reserves. The exchange rate will also be impacted, as the 2 years in the past 15 years, only in 2 years the Indian rupee has appreciated against the dollar. That was in 2016-17 and 2020-2021, and both were the years when the crude oil prices were less than $50 per barrel. Similarly, the sharp depreciation in the past year has been because the trade balance has been weakening and it was not offset by the other account surpluses. Therefore, the exchange rate was under pressure. The health of the government finances will also be impacted because of the crude oil price rise. For example, the fiscal deficit will be worsened because there will have to be borrowings to bridge the gap between the expenses and the earnings. And there are already COVID era expenses. Even in the pre-COVID years also, even with the low oil prices, we never achieved the FRBM target of just 3% of fiscal deficit. The next article is related to the PM-SHRI scheme. This is important in prelims under the topic economic and social development. Before coming to the article, let's discuss a few facts regarding the PM-SHRI scheme. This is a centrally sponsored scheme with an objective of the development of more than 14,000 schools by strengthening the existing schools which are managed by the center, state, union territories or the local bodies, with the purpose of nurturing students by ensuring that they are engaged, productive and contributing citizens for ensuring an equitable, inclusive and plural society as per the goal of the New Education Policy 2020. Therefore, from 2022 to 2026-2027, the responsibility of the states and UTs will be there to maintain the benchmarks which are achieved. The selection of the PM-SHRI schools will be happening through the challenge mode, that is, schools will have to compete for upgrading their status to the PM-SHRI schools. The features will be that the selected schools will act as the exemplar schools, offering the mentorship to the other schools in their vicinity. They will be like green schools, and the pedagogy there will be more experiential, holistic, integrated, play-based, toy-based, particularly in the foundational years. Ensure that the students are learning through an inquiry-driven approach, discovery-oriented approach, learner-centric model, discussion-based learning, flexible learning and enjoyable learning. There will be focus on the learning outcomes of every child in every grade, and the assessment will be done based upon the conceptual understanding and the application of knowledge to the real life situations. Also, there will be a linkage of these schools to the sector skill councils and the local industry for enhancing the employability of the children, and a school quality assessment framework will be put in place specifying the KPIs to measure the outcomes as well. Now coming to the article, the state of West Bengal has now signed an agreement with the center to implement the PM-SHRI school scheme in the state. While the centre's PM-SHRI school scheme was meant to upgrade the existing schools into exemplar ones that showcase the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020 was approved in 2022, but the states of West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Kerala did not implement it. The Education Ministry had linked the release of the Samagra Shiksha funds for the school education to the implementation of the PM-SHRI schools scheme. The state of West Bengal had objected to the PM-SHRI prefix being applied to the schools despite the state government having to shoulder the part of the scheme's cost, whereas Kerala and Tamil Nadu had refused to sign the MOU on the grounds that the agreement specifies that the state will implement the new education policy in its entirety, whereas these states had some concerns regarding some of the provisions of the new education policy. Thank you.